bugger hit me hard. Oh. I'm gonna have to drink that one off tonight, I'll tell you that much. Alright, let's see. You're talking about Zeus, June, my buddy flying. That's right, I remember. So, Zeus and June dashed with all haste after Vondel and his new unwanted flying familiar. They ran on and on. They were just getting farther and farther away from it. The weather started to change, making it a lot harder to keep their eyes on them. They'd moved toward the mountains heading east, disappearing from sight within the clouds. Zeus and June's only hope was to scale the mountain and find out where the creature went off to. Meanwhile, Vondel held on for dear life as this creature went higher and higher, using its large wings to roam the skies, ducking into the clouds. He hoped that the horse's leg didn't decide to tear off from all the jerking around. As the clouds opened up, Vondel noted that the creature's nest resting securely on top of the mountain, hiding away from the rest of the world. The griffin dropped the carcass, and Vondel on its nest, while it landed a few yards away to slow its stride. Vondel rolled hard, took note of his surroundings, and focused all effort to get to the horse. He wasted no time in searching for the box. He did find it in one of the satchels, the description matching perfectly to the contents. A black box with red trim. He grabbed it, shoving it into his pack, and turned to face his current problem. The griffin slowly walked toward its new meal. Vondel's breathing was heavy, and fear overcoming him. He never fought a griffin before. It was either fight or flight. Down below, Zeus and June found a path leading up the mountain, part of which a large wooden fort stood almost directly in their way. The walls climbed well over 15 feet, the ends pointed like a stake. The wall was circular, and it met its ending to the mountainside. A ballista of orcish construction sat stationary on top of the ridge line of the mountain, overlooking the surrounding woodline and then some. Part of them wanted to see what was beyond this wall, but their ally took more importance. They moved past it and headed left on a path, leading to a location where they saw the beast last. They followed the dirt path of the mountainside. As they descended higher, the two could see much more than the forest canopy below. The view they saw was truly breathtaking. Truly breathtaking. It showed the Sylvan Woods in all its nature. Visionaries and artists would sacrifice wealth to paint such a sight on canvas. Greenery from the woods with fluorescent dancing lights faintly glowed from time to time. A mist fall to the north that covered unknown territory with mystery. A swamp to the south. The region was enormous. To see such a sight. I lack the words to really describe this image, but believe me, it is beautiful. Ahead the path became difficult. The ridge line became smaller. A 20-foot section collapsed from a landslide, giving a foot-wide narrow path for them to traverse across. Looking down, they saw a torn-away rubble on earth, leading below to death itself. They were so focused on the height that they didn't notice a creature sitting at the edge of the cliff, just left of them. Just left of him was an old tree that shared its space. They did see him, of course, eventually. His features were obscured with ragged clothes. Markings on the ground surrounded his location, each appearing magical in nature. Not far from him, though, was a rectangle-like pack that was open with supplies being visually displayed. Each item was organized with small shelves and compartments, and had a small price parchment next to it, showing its worth. I know who and what this person was. You could say he was a traveling nomad who loved selling his wares, selling magic items to any and who had the coin for it. Sorry, I'm digressing from the story. They were more concerned about how to cross the fall of death than he. When they asked for assistance, all the creature did was point at the narrow ledge. His hand was no hand at all, but feathers from a wing. What kind of creature is that, I wonder? Taking the information and being a bit off their guard, they grabbed their bearings and crossed the treacherous ridge of the cliff with caution. Dirt and pebbles tumbled down below, causing dust to rise. Their hearts were pumping. Any false footing could be their last. Up top, Vondel kept distance from the creature. He used the dead carcass to his advantage. If the griffin was hungry enough, it would eat it, not worry of the strange visitor. Luckily for him, it did just that. It moved toward the dead horse, pouncing on it, shredding the carcass in pieces for itself. Vondel backed away. He circled around to its blind spot, looking for a way down. A drop of 20 feet or so was his best bet. As he considered his options, the Griffin was satisfied with a small snack to save the rest of it later, and turned to face him, considering him food for another time. Zeus and June made it across, running harder to find their friend. The path ended in a small cave hugged the rock face. They squeezed through boulders and walls. On the other side, they saw Vondel above, his back against the edge of the cliff. The cry of the griffin alerted them. The griffin charged at Vondel, its blood-covered beak going for a bite. The ground scarred with long talons as it covered the distance with such speed. Vondel knew if he wanted to escape, he would have to take his chances. He turned and he jumped. The creature lunged. It glanced his pack, sending him into a spiral as he fell. Luckily, June was there and caught him from below, both rolling down back into the mouth of the cave. "Did you get the box?" said June. "Aye," replied Vondel. Xerxes' eyes lit up with a faint purple tint. Hands burned with magic. A barrage of blasts, one after another, shot at the beast as it took to the skies. He used it to cover their escape as they ran back into the cave. They waited at the edge of the entrance of the cave, keeping their eyes fixed on the skies above. Zeus was a lookout since the range game was his specialty. June checked on Vondel to make sure everything was good. They didn't want a wounded ally if they had to run for it. An hour passed. They assumed that the beast gave up. They dashed out from the cave and ran to the chasm. As they were halfway from crossing it, June noted some rocks that tumbled past him from above. The loud cry of the griffin was heard, followed by the flying forms that dived right off the mountain wall above. Zeus' eyes flared once more, and blast after blast of infernal energy shot at the creature. From the chaos, Vondel lost his grip on the edge of the cliff and fell. June reached out for him, barely missing him. Vondel tumbled hard. A trail of dust and rubble followed his path in distant cussing. I was told he flipped. Not by choice, though, unfortunately. June called out his name as he lost sight of him. Zeus punctured its wing in the hind leg of the creature. The griffin flew away from the battle, knowing it couldn't win against them. Once June and Zeus crossed, they knew they had to find their companion once more. Hopefully, he wasn't buried under an earthen grave. Foxglove just can't seem to catch a break, can they? Just like my shoulder. Isabella! Come here, love. She's busy. That's fine. She's a sight, ain't she? Beautiful. Fun. I'd say the perfect woman. Anyway, you're not here for my ranting, so I could be if things were different. Maybe another time, lad. Maybe another time. When those two came down the mountain, the wood fortress had troops stationed on its wall. Yet instead of men, they were hobgoblins. A sub-race to orcs and goblins themselves. Unlike the cousins, they work well with each other in battle. You could say their kind of rule is militaristic, if I said it right. A bit more disciplined too, just a smidge more. They did their best to remain cautious as they moved past it. The hobgoblins just watched as the two ran by. I've had a dealing with a bunch a long time ago. They have reasons for everything they do. Luckily, they didn't know Zeus' ears. They hate elves with a passion. Zeus and Jim was a scout that landed at the base of the mountain for hours, looking for any sign of their friend. Yet nothing. Where could he be? They looked around once more to find a small trail of blood going farther north. Following it were large footsteps, 2-3 feet in length. Another creature had their friend. Vondel just keeps getting into trouble. Darkness. He woke up in darkness. His eyes adjusted and saw cracks of torchlight slip through the wooden boards. His vision changed and helped him see more in the dark. A gross smell caught his nose. It makes it BO and animal. Vondel crawled to the boards, leg throbbing with pain. He peered through to see where he was. At first look, he was in a cave. The cauldron was over a fire. A sheep roamed around without any candle lit, and a giant walked across to the cauldron, singing whatever broken tune it had in its head. Just a few feet from him was a stream that passed through the stone walls. To the left some ways looked to be fizz laid out in supplies. His pack was among them. Dead ahead looked to be a path heading out. Vondel tried to move the wooden planks, but the cracking noise of boards was the signal of something applying pressure. He looked up to see his surroundings. A giant boulder was placed right on top of this feeble structure. He was free to go, of course, but as soon as the boards moved, the boulder would fall, crushing him instantly. Vondel was stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Soon water will be done. Then we cook,
said the giant to the sheep.
Then we eat the small fat man.
Well, that is not going to work well with Vondel's schedule. He had a thinking how he was going to get out of there alive. Yet, it was just rock and dead. June and Zeus found the entrance to a cave had to form the trail. The sun was going down. They had an hour of light left. The cave looked natural, but reeked with a gross smell that proved that something was living here. They entered with caution, weapons drawn, hoping to use the darkness as an ally.
All right, Barmy. Time for fat man.
The giant moved toward the shambled prison. It stuck its face close to the boards to make sure Vondel was still inside.
It's time for you to get in pot, fat man.
Its eyes looked terrifying. The smell of its breath reeked with fish and disgust. Its nose looked broke and runny with snot. As the giant lifted the boulder from its spot, he didn't notice two intruders that have entered. Zeus gave it no thought and fired a blast of infinite energy at the giant. The blast entered its shoulder, causing blood to spill into the stream below. The giant growled with pain and turned with anger, throwing the massive boulder blindly, going right over the sheep and rolled, striking Zeus in the side, putting him prone against the cave wall. June charged forward at the base. Vondel took the opportunity and jumped on its back, hurting his leg even more. Foxglove are trained monster hunters, designed to take on creatures no man dares to face. Yet, they were fighting a hill giant. It takes 10 men to bring one down. There were only 3 of them. This wasn't even a fight, but a no-planned assault. June lunged forward. Being left-handed, he swung the blade in a perfect arc from right to left, taking a good chunk of meat from the inside of the giant's leg. Vondel did his best and climbed to the top of the neck, holding on for dear life. The giant yelled in pain, swinging its fist low, hitting June hard enough to break 2 ribs and launched him away a few yards. Zeus staggered to his feet and began barraging it with blasts once more, his head spinning with pain. Blasts were missing all around, causing dust and debris to fall. Vondel made it to the top of the giant's head and started striking the monster's temple with a flurry of blows. The giant grabbed Vondel and threw him back toward the shambled prison, shattering it into pieces. It then charged June with a right slam. June stood up, a bit shaken with heavy breathing. Zeus hit the giant in the chest to cause the strike to move just enough that it grazed June, slamming the ground next to him. June's demeanor changed as he focused into rage, plunging his katana deep into the arm, slashing all the way to the giant's elbow. This sent the creature reeling back, retreating back to its sleep bag to retrieve a weapon as well. A giant club. This thing must have been well used. There were splotches of blood all over it. The giant grew furious and abandoned all defense to kill the intruders. In a blind rage, it swung its club from its left at June, from outside to in. The blow struck June's right arm. He tried to block since he wasn't fast enough to evade. The blow picked him up off the ground, shattered the bones of his arm, and launched him into a wall. His blade skid nearby. He lay there, motionless. Zeus shot again as another blast tore into the creature's chest. "Just die," he shouted. The giant held its club at Zeus. He tried to use the wall as cover, but the weapon spun out of control and managed to hit his upper body. Zeus rolled with it and lay on his side, also unconscious. This was it. This was the end for these 3. June the master swordsman, Zeus the warlock, Vondel, the dwarf that surprises even me. Just when the giant was catching his breath, Vondel jumped on its back once more. "I will not die by some giant, not today!" He climbed with tenacity, made it to the head once more. He had a grip so tight around the giant's neck that death would have been sweating to try to break him. The giant squirmed, grabbed, clawed, slammed his back against the wall, yet Vondel held his grip. The giant fell to its knees, pleading for air, but his words fell silent as he fell face first into the ground. The cave was quiet. The fire burned, the cauldron boiled, the sheep minded its business. Vondel spit on the giant as he crawled over to June, tired as the 9 hills, but June lay there, lifeless. His arm like a wet noodle, cut over his right eye, eyes devoid of life. Vondel gritted his teeth. "Sorry, lad," he whispered. He checked on Zeus and found that he was still breathing and badly hurt. He did his best to stabilize his friend. Once awake, he asked, "What of June?" But Vonal could only shake his head in despair. In Vonal's anger, he took the sheep and tossed it into the pot. No sound followed as the thing boiled alive immediately. They took some time and searched their room thoroughly, finding Vonal's equipment, some healing potions, and a pouch made of human flesh woven on the belt of the giant. Inside were 6 dead rats. Vonal tossed that in the pot as well. Soon after the sun went down, and darkness fell over the world, the once mysterious became an unknown force of death and ill fortune. Vonal and Zeus did what they could and buried June right outside the cave. They took his gear for their own survival, but none of him loved his katana. Once he was 6 feet under and covered, they stuck the blade in the ground as a headstone. This was June's final resting place, and one they won't forget. They each said a prayer and paid their respects. "You were a good lad, and an ally I will treasure. May ye find peace where ye be going." Zeus stood quiet. He watched with a sad look in his eyes. They grabbed their things and left the cave behind. With the fall in front of their backs, they took to the woods with hope that they find the tavern soon. The wind howled. The leaves danced. From the woods a pair of eyes could be seen. It stepped out over the grave of June. A woman dressed in black, pale skin with a beautiful smile. Her hat, rounded, and a bracelet she wore had designs of skulls and death. She began to chant, which then turned into a small growl. Below, the grave dirt began to shake. My friend just came in. Hey, hold on, mate. Alright? Got a dealing to do. Paige, you little minx. I was wondering when you'd show up. Come here, give me a hug.